Hey everybody, this is PJ Farley from Trixter, and you're listening to BackstageAxxess.com, where the real show begins, and I can attest to that.
Hi everyone, this is Chris with BackstageAxxess.com, and if you love old school 80s style rock, you're going to love our guest today, Trixter bassist PJ Farley. Well, welcome to BackstageAxxess.com, PJ, and thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Great. Now, Trixter has a brand new album out, Human Era, so can you tell us just a little bit about the record?
Sure. Well, it kind of came out of nowhere because we weren't really intending, not that we weren't intending on doing another record, but it wasn't really on our radar at the time. Frontiers canceled us last year.
Okay.
And around this time last year, they were like, hey, you guys want to make another record? And we kind of said, sure. It's funny enough in this day and age that record labels are coming to us asking to make records, so who are we to say no?
Right.
We just kind of, being that we didn't really have anything in our back pockets, we just kind of, built it from scratch, and the way it turned out was just, surprising to us. We just kind of, not being all that prepared to make a record, and then all of a sudden, we dug into the archives a little bit, for Rock at the Edge of the Night, for instance.
Okay.
And that's our single, and it's also one of our oldest songs. And a couple of others, not going back nearly as far as that. But, a year later, here we are. With what we think is our best record yet.
Okay. And how has the record been received so far? What has the buzz been?
So far, anything I've seen has been great. I don't know if I'm being sheltered from the poor, but I think that's pretty hard to do nowadays, being sheltered from any sort of bad reviews. But I haven't seen anything unfavorable at all. I mean, it's been really well received, and which is refreshing for us. The last one too. I mean, our new audio machine.
Right.
That got a lot of really good reviews, and we've never been a critic's darling by any stretch. So just getting positive on every account is cool for us.
Absolutely.
And it's happening again.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, is there a certain meaning behind the title of this record, Human Era?
Yeah. It's kind of a title. It's a title that I had for a while, and it just kind of, there's kind of like a play on words, error, and the whole thing just kind of started spinning in my head about how, there was a time when you just, especially it's like for bands where, we just made music with instruments,
right?
Played them, and, if it wasn't perfect, it wasn't perfect. But even bigger than that was, it started spinning more about how, a band like us, for instance, we formed how many years ago, and to be able to still be together today and, still be friends, I think is a tribute to that era and where we, when we started and how, I just think bonds were formed a little bit better back then, when there wasn't the text and email and the whole line.
Sure.
When you actually had to, call people on the phone, you had to go see them face to face and, hash things out person to person, as opposed to just, trying to read between the lines in a text or something like that. So it really just kind of, it was just spinning in my head for so long, and I mean, it makes so much sense because, like I said, this band has been together for so long, and we still enjoy it, and, I just thought it was a cool kind of concept to apply to the fact that we're doing a record in 2015 team, you know?
Right, absolutely. Especially, like you said, with technology today, you do kind of lose that humanness sometimes in today's world. So it's cool to kind of step back and think about that.
Yeah.
Now, you said that you had dug into the archives a little bit for this album, especially you said for Rockin' to the Edge of the Night. What was the rest of the songwriting process like? Do you guys come together as a group to kind of bring new ideas to the table, or how does that work?
Normally, it will start with Steve will have a good, if not a full song, a good, chunk of a song, and kind of bounce it off me. And if it needs a little reworking here or there, whether it's just some editing or it's help with the flow of the song, and do some work on the bridge, or things here and there, just to kind of get where he's trying to go, get him there easier.
Okay.
Or sometimes we'll have a full song, which is it'll be fine. Say that's great. Let's get the guys in and do it.
Okay.
There was a couple of songs that me and him had done. Worked on a couple of years ago in different formats of different bands that me and him have had. And then there's certain things that maybe people have a vocal idea or something like that, and or in an instance for like the song "Human Era" was basically a song that I had. Along with the concept, I had the music, the melody, and the chorus, lyric, and the melody and everything, and the verse melody, and I wanted to have him plug in the rest of the lyrics, and because he totally got where I was coming from with the concept, within a second. So he's like, "Oh, this is great." So we worked together on that, and that just came together nicely.
Nice. Now, there has been just a resurgence in the last few years with bands from the 80s and 90s, from your first era. They're back on the scene. And you had mentioned, that the title of the album, Human Era. But how do you keep things fresh, relevant, up to date, but still maintain, that classic sound and everything that the fans love about Trixter? Is it a difficult thing to do?
No, first of all, thank you. Because that's kind of a compliment. And on that note, no, it's not hard. It's just that's what we are. I mean, we're not trying to stay relevant. We're not fooling ourselves thinking, well, if we can make a really relevant record, then we're gonna wind up in the top 10 billboards. I mean, we're smarter than that. So we're just making music, and that's we have we're still young enough, and we still got our fingers on the pulse, and it's just natural. It's just that's what's in us. That's what comes out of us. So
I think as a fan, one of the things that I personally love about Trixter, and I'm sure many others do too, is the whole feel of this record in particular. It's just feel-good music. It's just a good time, and if you're going to go see Trixter live, you're going to have a good time. And it doesn't have to always be complicated, and you don't have to always try to keep up with the latest trends or whatever's new in music right now. And I think that's refreshing to a lot of people, that you know what you're going to get, and you're never disappointed.
Yeah, I think that's what Trixter's always been about, and the key is to, I think something that we've been able to hit on is being able to write feel-good music without sounding hokey and dated.
Yes.
I think that's something that we've kind of, got a grip on. Unbeknownst to us, it just comes out that way. People are like, wow, I don't get it. It's just fun music, but it doesn't sound like dated and stuff. And like, all right, so be it. And ironically, Rockin' to the Edge of the Night, which is, basically back in the day, 25 years ago, that was like kind of our anthem, and it never made it to any of the records, so we kind of revisited it, reworked it, but it's still the lyrics are pretty all true to the original version, we dropped it down a key, you know, make it a little heavier, and, you know, kind of beefed it up in that end. But, I mean, that song in particular, you can tell it's a little bit, at least in my eyes, you can tell it's a little bit, if you want to say dated, just because of the lyrics and stuff, but it still feels good, and because we beefed it up, it kind of brings it up to speed. But, you know, then you take a song like Crash That Party, which is the second song on the record, and it's, you know, that's just a good time song that could have come out in any era.
Absolutely. Now, do you guys have any tour plans in the works for this record?
Yeah, we have, you know, our usual fly dates booked and stuff, and dates coming in now, so we got a couple coming up 4th of July weekend, and then just about every other weekend after that throughout the summer, and actually into the fall we got a lot too, so.
Okay, and those dates are here in the States?
Yep.
Okay. Now, speaking of the tour and tour plans, what was one of your most memorable tour experiences? I'm sure you have a lot of them, but...
like moments or like...
Anything, an experience, a moment, or just a tour in general that you enjoyed more than the others, or that was just a really cool experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, they all have a special place in our hearts, you know?
Sure.
It was like each tour was like some sort of goal reached, you know, whether it be, you know, going out on tour with Stryper, their first tour, getting on the tour bus and going out on tour with a band that we knew and loved, and that was so cool to us. And then, you know, with Dokken and Poison, our first arena tour, I think that was definitely, you know, a highlight for us, because kind of before we knew it, we were like, oh, we got an arena tour with Poison. We're like, wow. You know, I mean, that blew our minds, the fact that we were actually finally going to be up there, you know, where we always envisioned ourselves.
Right.
And then, I mean, I'll probably wind up sitting in here listing every tour that we did. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I could pinpoint one particular point, but I would think maybe, you know, the Poison tour, or even maybe the Scorpions when we first got to play our hometown arena.
Okay.
We got our gold record. We got our gold records that night, and it was, you know, pretty much the dream come true.
Sure, absolutely. Now, Trixter is one of the few bands from that era that has not gone through lineup changes and lots of drama. How have the four of you been able to keep it together as a unit?
You know, I think my estimation is that I think that because, touching back on the human and everything, but back in those times, and the fact also that we were so young, we kind of formed a bond that was, you know, it wasn't just four guys in a band, you know, working.
Okay.
You know, we were four friends, you know, although I didn't go to school with the other guys, those three went to school together, and, you know, I joined while I was still in high school. So, I mean, you just form bonds differently then, you know, at that age, and it's not like four guys in their late 20s or something like that, answering the ad in the paper, putting together a band, going, yeah, Ben's great and stuff, but, you know, 12 players kind of a douche, and, you know, but I'll live, you know. It wasn't like that, you know, just friends. We were friends making music. And I think, and believe it, we've had our, you know, arguments and our drama and stuff like that, but something that we've always had within us was a sense of resolve.
Okay.
So I think that, you know, that came with the fact that was part of the gifts from forming so young and back in that day. Sure.
Now, what do you think is one of the biggest changes in the music industry since the early days of Trixter to now?
Well, in music itself, it's kind of interesting. That's a huge question, because there's so many aspects of the differences. You know, I mean, nowadays people who can't really play music make music.
Right.
And, you know, which sounds terrible. It's like please, what are you doing? You know, you got guys that practice all their lives, you know, trying to make music to make a living at it, you know, and somebody who can't play anything can make music and make a hit record, you know. But there's also a beauty to that. You're going to get something from a completely different, you know, vision. You know, somebody who's not looking at it the way every other musician is looking at making a song or something like that, you know. I think there's a big difference there. I mean, I'm not even going to touch on the difference in the music business. I think we all know that.
Right.
I know we all know that. I think the toilet has flushed. But I mean, as far as music, yeah, I think it's wide open, and you're getting so many different visions and ideas. And you go on the internet, and you can just find just about anything. You know, like I said, the fact that people, it's not just you learn an instrument, you practice it, you form a band, you write a song, you try to get it out there. Now, you know, if you have a computer, you can write and record songs.
Right. It's just a lot more accessible and a lot more difference nowadays. Now, during Trixter's downtime, you were involved in some other bands and projects along the way, and one of which that I really enjoyed was Ra. And can you tell me if there's anything new on that front, or has that just kind of been put to the side, or do you plan on going back, or could you update us on that a little?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. It was I joined that band it was 2002, and we were active pretty much for almost all of that downtime that Trixter had. Right. And ironically, we kind of, in 2008, slowed down a little bit, and then coincidentally, we put Trixter back together. And then did a little more Raw after that, put another record out in 2009, 2010. And then after that, we kind of put it to rest for a while. And then I joined up with Lita Ford around 2009. Played with her for about 3 years or so, 3-4 years. And Ra was still kind of, you know, on the sidelines. And then last year, actually 2 years ago now, we did a record. We did a new record, and last year we did some touring on it. And but it was pretty short-lived. You know, we were only going to go out for a short while.
Okay. And
not really grind it out on the road and, you know, beat ourselves up. So, you know, we just did a little touring last year around March, April. And then, you know, kind of put it right back to bed, you know, for now. I mean, it's something where that band, we had some good success in the early 2000s, and, you know, but it's hard to sustain, you know, especially now since, you know, we're on Universal, you know, you get tour support and whatnot, you know, for the most part of it at least.
Right.
You know, the last couple of records were pretty much self-sustained, you know, and, you know, we put them out ourselves, our own label through Universal with, you know, funding from other areas. And this last record we put out was a Kickstarter record.
Okay.
So we did that, but, you know, it doesn't give us enough money to go out and live on the road and,
right,
you know, pay our bills and stuff. So, you know, I mean, we all love the band. We, you know, we would love to have kept it going a little bit more, but, you know, life gets in the way and everyone's busy. So, you know, it was never all right, see you later, never again. You know, I mean, it was definitely the last of the, you know, quote-unquote touring, but, you know, we might get together and make some music or something like that somewhere down the road.
Okay, that would be cool. We would enjoy that. And, you know, it's funny because I love both. I love Trixter, and I really loved Ra, and they're just so different, the sounds of it. Is it difficult for you to kind of swing from one to the other like that, or is it just... Is it easy for you? Does it come natural to go with a different feel?
Absolutely. Ra and that style of music has always been right in my wheelhouse to begin with.
Okay.
I've always had a kind of heavier edge taste, and so that kind of music always appealed to me. So it was like just another hat.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was great.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. I enjoyed it, and best of luck with the album, Human Era. It's a great album. I'm sure fans and new fans are going to love it, and we look forward to seeing you out again, hopefully on tour sometime soon.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking time talking to me, and enjoy. Hopefully we see you out there on the road soon.